Hello everybody, welcome on in to Clay Share Day. This is our first demo and Q&A session of the day. We have Kelley and Bud from Speedball Art. Oh my gosh, I love Speedball. You guys know that. Speedball was the first company that came on board as a Clay Share sponsor. Actually, Speedball sponsored me before I had Clay Share. I was one of their artists and they sponsored me with my artwork. They are such a generous company. You know, whenever I would teach at a Clay Center, I would do a lot of veteran workshops, and they would just send me whatever I needed for product so that everybody at the workshop had the materials they needed. So it has been a joy to work with them. They are right here in North Carolina. Well, I say right here, I'm in Vermont, but they're right here in the US in North Carolina. I've toured their factory. It was so fun. We had the best day. I want to go back and check it out again. I'm sure the factory hasn't changed too much. Kelley probably tell us a bit about how things are going, but the really exciting news that Speedball has is they came out with not just new colors recently, they came out with new packaging. And so many of you remember Speedball's packaging, which was this, which it was fine. It's a fine packaging, but it had the teeny tiny top and it would be so hard to get our brushes in there. And so Speedball, through feedback, you know, switched up their packaging along with adding the new colors. So I'm thinking we should bring Kelley on in, and if you all have questions about Speedball, I'll do a little demo. We'll have Kelley come, we'll ask some questions. Then I'll do a quick demo, then we'll have Kelley back, and we'll do split screen so that you can see both of us chatting at the same time. So hey Kelley.
Hey Jessica, how are you doing?
I'm good. How are you?
Great. Thank you so much for including us in this. We, as you mentioned, have been there since the beginning. It doesn't seem like 4 years is possible. So, but congratulations. We're thrilled to be in the mix. So thank you for having us.
Thank you so much. I know it's great. You know, it just was happenstance that I discovered Speedball. I was at NCECA and you had another artist that was demoing at a different booth and we were chatting and he brought me to you, I believe. And that's how I met you. And you're like, here, take these. And you gave me a bunch of samples of, because I'd never used Speedball Underglaze before. And you gave me a bunch of samples and I took them home. And I remember I was looking for a really good red color. And I was looking for an affordable red color because I was a student. And so it was really great because your red is amazing. And now you have the new Carmine, which is, oh my goodness.
I know, it's delicious, isn't it?
Oh, it's so lush. It's luscious.
Yes,
like,
you
know, you just want to eat it.
Yeah.
But this right here, this color wheel that I did, you know, I taught a class on it and it has been hugely popular because you can use it for underglazes and you can use it for glazes as well. But I did this one with the original 24 colors. And then you all came out with the new ones.
Yes.
And I did the new ones and then my favorites from the original batch on here. So this is my go-to. This is the one where if like you can only take one group of colors and a clear glaze, I'm going to take everything on its plate. Like this is what's happening. These right here.
We're your desert island palette. I like
You're my desert island palette. I love all these colors. And I'm going to be doing demos later with them. And I'm going to do a diamond core demo and be carving with Speedball Underglaze.
Okay.
So I'll be using them as well.
So
I know people want to know about Speedball. Why don't you tell us a bit about it?
So Speedball is, you mentioned the plant tour. Spoiler alert, nothing has changed since you were last. That's one of the things I like most about Speedball is that we do have a pretty historic heritage. We were founded in 1899. It's interesting, Speedball is pretty well diversified in our product offering. And so some of us only know Speedball from calligraphy, which is where we began. Many folks only know us for printmaking because that is where the vast majority of our product offerings are found. But then about 15 years ago, we decided to move into the ceramic space. We started with pottery wheels with the Clay Boss series. We still have all of those models still available, and along with the Artista.
And, the Artista wheel, that's flying.
Yes, indeed. And then we branched out and then the ceramic glazes and underglazes. We now have the clear available in the mid-fire temp at the cone 5-6, but the most popular is certainly underglazes. So we've been pretty well known as being the affordable, reliable option where we're the brand of choice for teachers because they fire friendly regardless of how heavily they may be applied. For the educators out there, they know that can be a bane in the kiln. So but conversely, as you know, they're pretty well trusted by the professional subset. And so I got to work with folks like you when we did the line extension and the packaging rework. And it's a neat company to be a part of, in that we're about as artist-led as it comes. So the 12 colors that we selected were completely by consumer research. So we didn't pick the 12, you guys did. And we didn't pick the packaging, the artist did, which I think is one of the reasons they've been so well accepted and have performed as well as they have. We didn't get in the way. We just let people tell us what to do, the important part. So, but it's a great company to be affiliated with. And then my role here is basically to get to work with folks like you. I get to do all of the sponsorships and artist partnerships, and make sure that we're making a product that works for everybody under any circumstances. And it's hugely important for us to make it an affordable price point. So that's what we come to do every day. And thanks to folks like you, people now know we're doing it. So.
Yeah. And that was the thing. I was drawn to Speedball first for the price point, but then the colors are just amazing, and they're completely blendable. They're water soluble, so you can thin them down. We did have a question. Someone said, what happens if you added too much water to underglaze that was too thick? So did you make it too thin? That's the thing. So if someone had thick underglaze and they added too much water to it, and they made it too thin, could they just let it settle and pour off the water that's on top to get it back to the proper thickness? That's what I was thinking too. Yeah. So that's the great thing about being water soluble, right? Is if you add too much or need to add something, you just can add some water to it, and that happens. And you'll notice sometimes in the jars, from jar to jar, it does vary, right? The thickness. Sure. Sometimes they're a little thicker, a little thinner, and you just mix it up. And if you can add a little water, go ahead and take a little out, go ahead. I've never actually had to remove water from mine. But I like to work with it watered down a lot too. So for me, I'm adding a lot of water to the product. So let's see what y'all have for questions. If you have questions for Kelley about Speedball, please ask away. So let's see. Oh, and I want to talk about the fact that Speedball underglazes by themselves don't stick to shelves. Like you were talking about how they were teacher friendly, kiln friendly.
That is true. Yes. So no extra doctoring required, no shelf required. They'll be fine. We've fired all the way up to cone 11 and haven't had any shelves sacrificed as a result. So you can save the stilting for some other project, I guess. But now obviously not true for our glazes, but the underglazes are friendly.
Right. And so I've never taken them above cone 6, but you said you can take them to cone 11.
We've pushed them as far as we market them from 05 to 10. Most folks, that seems to be where they're playing for the most.
Yeah. 11
so
we have a little hot.
It is a little warm. Now we do see some of the colors start to glaze, like the reds will start to glaze at 11. For the most part, 10 they fire true. There are some exceptions. The medium green shifts to more of like a pine color. The yellow, depending on how folks are firing to 10, it can burn out or lighten up a little bit. For the most part, though, they hold the same. Now we do have, it was important to us to be able to showcase that, how the colors are going to hold across all of those broad firing temperatures. So we did develop and recently launch a new poster that includes all 36 colors across 3 firing temperatures, 05, 6, and 10, to show what the colors are going to do across each. The photo shoot was pretty intense to make sure the colors were accurate. The post-production work at the printer was pretty aggressive to make sure we color corrected for full accuracy. So, we had some feedback. We had quite a few test tile charts, but folks either wanted a different temperature or a different color or a different glaze. And so we really thought the poster was, one, the most affordable price point, and 2, showed the versatility of the line without having to order 3 different charts or 5 different charts, whatever the case was. So, and it's been very positively received too. So it's a good reference. We're including those in the giveaways.
Yeah, in the giveaways. But I have one of your posters, but I didn't move it up. It's at the other studio location still. But it's true. The chips on those color charts are amazing. They match so well. So you almost don't need to make a test tile, but you should. You should make a test plate.
You should always make a test tile. I cannot stress that enough. You should always make a test tile. But
you almost don't need to, but you still have to.
Yes, you should.
And someone was commenting, do they have to use alumina hydrate on their shelf if they have Speedball underglaze on the bottom of their pieces that are touching the shelves? And I would say no. I put kiln wash on my shelves. Mhm.
I mean, we certainly haven't here in the lab. I don't know that it would be detrimental to the project, but I don't know that it's necessarily a must.
No,
So
I feel if you're using a kiln shelf that is meant to have kiln wash on it, as long as you kiln wash it, standard kiln wash, like you normally do, then that's all you need to do. And if you're using a shelf that's not supposed to have kiln wash, then, do whatever that kiln shelf manufacturer suggests before firing pieces on it. But as far as the Speedball product, I've never had it stick to anything. Like I've never had it stick to the shelf. So it's never been a problem for me. And more comments about the thickness. Adding water is still too thick. Just keep adding water. Keep going. Go till you get it to where you want it, right?
we actually had an artist, he does a lot of airbrush applications, so he obviously needs to dilute it quite a bit. He used a frother and added a lot of water and frothed it, and perfect. So
and it worked out for him.
You can't over dilute, so just keep adding water. The reason we do that, I mean, you get much more out of the jar that way. The pigment load is heavy. If it doesn't negatively impact the performance with the additive of the water, add more and it'll still fire just as well. But it absolutely gives you much more bang for your buck per jar. So
right, when the jars come too thick and you have to add water, you're getting much more product. You're getting free product basically. And they sometimes are too thick and sometimes a little lumpy. Just stir them. Just keep stirring them up. They will break down. They will smooth out. And then you'll be able to use it and it won't be a problem. So just keep adding your water to get the consistency you want it to be. And that's the biggest thing that I've noticed is that they're easy to thin down, I find, and easy to work with. Like they're really blendable and smooth going on. So that's one thing I really like. So people asking, where can I? Oh, go ahead.
Oh, sorry. The nice part about the larger jar too is that I've noticed they mix much more easily. There's a lot more room for them to move around even upon first opening. So as I'm mixing them, I much prefer the new jar for a number of reasons. But for that specifically, it really gets viscosity just the way you want it.
And a few people are coming, they got a stain color, but transfer, but no sticking. Yeah, you will. So when I do the bottoms of my pots, if I use, I put the Speedball Underglaze pretty lightly on that one. See, a little heavier on this one with the black. I'll have a little shadow on my kiln shelf from it, just a little slight staining, but that's not actually sticking and that's nothing. That's just a little transfer. That's nothing to worry about. But that's the only thing I've noticed. So people want to get the posters. So 3 people are going to win 12 packs of the new colors and pints. Big pints. So we're going to give 3 pints, 12 packs away and a poster. So 3 people are going to get them that way. But other folks, if they want to get posters, where can they get them from?
Well, there are a number of different retailers who are offering them. So if you happen to shop at Clay King, the ceramic shop, et cetera, all your typical online retailers carry them. If you don't have someone in your region or don't have an account with either of those options, we do have them available through our website, just speedballart.com. If you go to our Underglazes section, you'll see it on the sidebar and grab them easily. They're just a little bit over $10.
So I'm going to do a little demo and we'll do Q&A while I do the demo. So you'll still be here and we'll just switch. It'll just be us talking. So one of my favorite ways, I use Speedball Underglazes a lot of ways. One of my favorite ways is to stain the surface that has some texture on it and then wipe back. So I'll apply the underglaze and then I'll wipe it away. And then I put a clear glaze on top and that's it. Sometimes I'll paint on top of a white glaze and you can actually paint on the surface with your underglaze like I did here. So that's another way you can use them. Here's one where I thinned it down to like watercolor consistency and painted on the surface. So I'll do that as well. And then this one here is one where I actually painted thicker on the surface and then I carved through to create a pattern. So there's lots of ways. And these are just some. I mean, you can use them to get, let me grab this piece here. This right here, and you're on the overhead, right? This piece here is one I stained, but then I went heavier on the rim. So this was like a fun way to use it. And that's just a tiny, tiny way you can use them. So here's one I did staining. This was a lace doily I pressed in, and then I painted the underglaze on. These are the new colors. And then I wiped back. So I can use lots of colors at once to create an image. And the one we're going to do today is a little simpler. So I'm going to show you this.
I have some plates I made with texture. So I love me some texture. These are just placemats that I picked up at like the dollar store, kind of, you know, fancy places like that. I mean, texture is texture, wherever you find it. And so I thought it would be fun to do one of these where we'll take a couple colors and we'll do an ombre. Ombre, you know, it's really popular now, but it's also really fun to work with. So we'll do that. And because I have made myself a color wheel, I can pick my colors. So with ombres, you know, you want to stay in the same color family. You don't want to do multiple colors, you know, you don't want to go across your color wheel. You want to stick with ones that will play nice together. So if you want to do like reds to oranges to yellows, or yellows to greens to blues, or blues to purples, you go to pinks, whatever. So I like to pick 3 colors, maybe 4, and pull them out, and then we'll layer them on. So this pretty flower, we're going to start with yellow, and I'm going to use the saffron yellow, which is this color right here. A little bright, but it's gorgeous. And then we're going to go from yellow to the peach. Peach, I think, is it's hard to say which one's my favorite new color. Peach is definitely, like, I love the melon, but the peach is like, because it's just really yummy. So the peach next. And then I think we'll go darker, and we'll really punch it up, and we'll go to the mandarin orange and the carmine for the edge, just for the very edge. So we'll do these 4 colors. I know I said 3, but look,
Now you've got 2 of my favorites. So
yeah, you like the carmine and the mandarin.
I actually like the saffron yellow. I love
the saffron.
Yeah.
It's really pretty. It's a nice, deep, rich yellow. You know, it has orangey undertones. So it's my fave there. So let's grab a brush. I'm just going to use these brushes. They're called Sumi, S-U-M-I. They're like Chinese calligraphy brushes. They're really easy to use. They have a bamboo handle. And now that we have these great big jars, I don't have to use my little palette. You know, often I'd be using this little palette, and this makes it so much easier. And so we have some questions. Does the color change with different clear glazes? Like if you use a satin or a gloss?
So that is the importance of the test tile right there. So absolutely. I mean, we would obviously recommend all of our test tiles are done with our clear glazes. They do pair well with competitive clears, or, you know, if you're mixing your own clear, they certainly pair well, but there are exceptions to that. So yes, the color will be different, either more muted or more vibrant, depending on if you're going with a gloss or a satin finish. So yes, that's where we always encourage, especially if you're not going to be using our clear, to go ahead and do the test tile, as it will impact it, obviously, hopefully positively, but that's, you know, the part of ceramics that's the best is the experimentation. It's not plug and play.
So someone's asking that the underglazes weren't available in Canada for a while, and that they were wondering if suppliers are going to get stock in soon.
So they are now available at one fairly large retailer. I believe it's Above Ground in Canada. They have a pretty large number of retail stores, and they did a wonderful demo with us pretty recently, doing a few techniques with the underglazes. So depending upon where the viewer is from in Canada, hopefully that's a helpful tidbit, but it at least helps negate some of those shipping charges. Shipping to Canada can be awfully expensive. So
yeah.
That should help, even if they're in a different part of the country.
So I want to show everybody the thickness. It's not, I have it thin, like milk is what I'm using it at. If I was going to get solid coverage, I might go a little thicker, but I'm just going a little thinner. And then I'm just going to apply this in the center in a band, like just going around. And I'm only going to do 1 coat. And notice I dip into my water and then straight into my jar to thin it down, so I don't have to pour it onto a palette. You know, this saves me time and makes life always a little easier. So we got this sunny center happening with this saffron, and I'm going to have an overlap of colors. So that's the great thing that makes this technique work, is you have to overlap your colors in order to get that fading from one shade to the next. So we're doing that, and we're going to go to the peach next. You can shake them up. I don't shake them up when I open them, because what happens is then you get the stuff stuck to the lid. And when you open it up,
right.
But everybody does it different. So I'm not saying what the way
I'm
I do
a shaker.
it is the right way. You're a shaker. You're a shaker. Plus, I like them really watery on the top, and so the water tends to come to the top. So for me, it's like it's the perfect brushability for what I want straight out of the jar if I don't shake it. But so we had a question: what do you do if it's frozen in transport? How do you get it back to usability?
So we do freeze test all of the products, and all of them should reactivate pretty normally. If that is distinct from that user's experience, we'd be happy to troubleshoot the issue a little bit more specifically to whatever they're seeing. But for the most part, all of our products here have been freeze tested for that very reason. We don't have the luxury of keeping things from not freezing for the most part. We're shipping to over 60 countries at this point. So
oh wow,
be as aggressive in the ship testing and the environments they'll be in, whether they're too hot or too cold. So yeah, absolutely. If that person has a distinct experience, they can always reach out to me at info@speedballart.com. I'm the gal behind that email address, so I'd be happy to help them.
And Speedball is always great with the customer service because it's Kelley, so it's her. So when you're asking so everybody, when you're having an issue with Speedball and you reach out to them to tell them something, you're telling Kelley. That's who you're talking to. It's not this anonymous like automated thing. It's Kelley. That's who you get.
Yes. If they are doing anything through our social media or through that email address, it is absolutely me. Now, we do have an amazingly talented customer service team. So if they happen to call in, they will talk to some better and wonderful individuals that can help. But, if they're a bigger fan of direct messages or email, that will come to me. So, and I
get you.
I love talking shop. So we're glad.
Yeah. So I put on the saffron yellow, then I went to the peach, and then now I'm doing the mandarin orange, and then I'm going to do the carmine for the very edge. So it will change a little when we fire it, but the colors in the jar are pretty true. You've done a great job of matching them so that what you get in the jar is similar to the finished result.
We have tried. We've tried to keep it as simple and user-friendly as we possibly can. So keep the guesswork out.
So I see, how do I decide? Someone just asked how I decide, how do I know how many colors to apply for an ombre? When you layer them, that helps. And I like to blend back and forth. That really helps too. What I'm trying to prevent is a hard, sharp line. And we will be wiping back. Did I neglect to mention that? I think I did. I'm going to be wiping back this underglaze so that we're going to actually wipe off a lot of it. So you might be thinking, well, why even put it on in the first place? But you'll see at the end, it's totally worth it. So, and does adding water dilute the color?
Not even a little bit. Nope.
No. So it just keeps it the same color. It just makes it more brushable. Because let me just show folks that are watching. So this jar has sat for a little while, and y'all see how thick that is? That's thick. That's thicker than chocolate pudding. That's pretty thick. That's like ricotta cheese going on in there. So I just add water, just like I'm doing. I'm dipping my brush in a bucket and I'm pulling it over. And I know people ask about contamination because it's the same bucket I'm using with the other colors, but I went light to dark for a reason. And once it gets too much color in the water, I just go ahead and dump it out. The other thing is you could just have a jar of water or a bottle of water just for this to thin down your underglazes so you don't have to do what I'm doing. I see there's questions about what template this is. This is my marigold template, is the flower template I'm using. All right, so once you have your colors on and dry, and the thing is with this, if I need to reapply after I wipe this back and I'm not happy with what I've done, guess what? I can do that. That's the great thing about the colors, is they're completely layerable. We have Kelley. So any questions you guys have? Loving the colors.
Now, Jessica, have you ever done transfers with decals with our underglazes? Made your own decals?
I've done newsprint. I did a class to teach people how to make their own. I haven't done a silkscreen one yet. You did send me the silkscreen kit. I need to get that done. It's on my list. But I have done my own underglaze decals, and the color transfer is so nice. Like it turned out so well. So
that is one of our favorite things. with
Yeah,
our
to do the
ground.
do
It's
the
always a fun, worlds colliding kind of activity.
yeah.
The reason to the viscosity is what it is.
So I had known about Speedball for years because I did printmaking. And actually the funny thing is I did printmaking before I did pottery. And when I started pottery, what I loved is I could make a 3D form that I could do some intaglio and I could carve into, right?
Oh,
Which is like
perfect.
sgraffito,
Yep.
right?
Sgraffito.
So so that was the thing that I fell in love with because I could make my own 3D block, right? Instead of a wood block or something, I could make my own piece to carve into. And that's what brought me to really love ceramics. And then, when I found Speedball and I was so familiar with you all from the world of calligraphy and the world of printmaking, and I was like, they make underglazes. So look how we're wiping back, and I'm wiping back and cleaning my sponge in between the wiping. And if you wipe too aggressively, like I might have gone a little heavy there, I can come back once this is dried, reapply a little more underglaze to that area and wipe it back again. So if you over wipe, you can always go back and fix it. Like you didn't ruin it. You're not stuck. So what else is going on down there in Speedball land? You guys, you're always working on stuff. The Artista wheel.
Yes.
Should we talk about how crazy it's gone with the little wheel? That wheel.
It's been nuts. You've got Jeff, I think, coming up next or pretty soon. He's been a wonderful supporter using the Artista and quite a few demos of late. So he's become one of our favorite distributors of the Artista. But it's been madness, as people lost their community spaces during the pandemic. They came for that little wheel so they could in or their back patio or pass the time and try and keep sane through all of this. So but it's a great little wheel. We love it. We've always got artists who want to get their next generation of ceramic artists throwing on it for the first time. And so it's a good little workhorse and great for if you're doing demonstrations on the go. It can throw as much as it weighs. So that's always nice. It throws 25 pounds of clay, which is
that is nice.
Clay. So so it's been great. But things at Speedball have been crazy. People have been creating through all of this, which has been really, really inspiring and helpful. I think gave us all a bit of therapy to be inspired. So, but it's kept us busy. That's for sure. We've been working a lot of overtime around here and grateful for it. So,
yeah, I see a lot of people love the Clay Boss wheel too. That's your bigger wheel that you have.
It is. Yep. So we've got the Clay Boss that throws. We've at Enseca, we always had Jeff Blandford throwing 25 pounds on the Elite, and then the Boss is around 100, and then the Artista is the workhorse at 25 pounds. So we try and cover all of our bases there. We've it's a neat product in that the technicians who are hand building them, Renzo is our primary technician, and that's what he's been doing his whole career. So anytime we start a production run, it's only him and one other person who are making those wheels. So it's a pretty phenomenal thing to see just how efficiently two people can do that many wheels. So
wow.
So if you have a wheel that you've got any issues with, we're even servicing from the old Creative Industries, the 30.
Oh, before you had it.
Yeah. Since he's been around that long, he's still able to troubleshoot with folks that are on wheels that are a little bit older vintage. But that's one of the best parts about Speedball is most folks have worked here their entire career. So I've been here almost 10 years, and I'll probably always be the junior. There's always somebody with a lot more than me.
I believe when I came, I met, we were at the, when I toured the factory with you, we were at the area where they put together the quills, right?
The pen nibs. Yes.
The pen nibs. And the woman that I was speaking with had been there 30 years.
Yes.
More now. But
sure, because it is the same woman. I think you spoke with Peg. She's actually in charge of our quality control for the nibs. And you may have spoken with Marcia too. They're both 30 years in, but the process, we're still using machinery from the 1930s. So they're still hand machined, and some of them require dozens to 18 different handmade steps. And then we have one individual who hand inspects each and every nib before it goes out. So that's the best part about doing tours around here. If anybody's ever in Statesville, North Carolina, I'm happy to give a tour. But there's a person behind every step. Everything's mixed by hand by one of our mixers. A lot of our inks are hand filled. All of our kits are hand assembled. So we still try and keep people behind it all. There's not a lot of automation here. So it's a step back in time.
I do recommend, if you're there, reach out to Kelley to tour the factory. It was so fun. Got to see it, and they're right there in North Carolina. So if you're going to North Carolina to see Grove or any of the areas that has a lot of potters anyways, if you're heading out that way or going to Asheville. I was going to Asheville, I think, when I stopped in and saw you. So it was just really great, and took my daughter. She got to tour the factory too. So some questions about colors changing. The colors do change some of them when they fire. I've noticed the green shifts a little. And Kelley, you were saying the same thing. You noticed that when
absolutely. Your reds are going to stay true. The green, the medium green shifts. The pine does not. The leaf green shifts. Let's see what else. The chartreuse can. That all depends on the clay body and the clear glaze and the firing schedule. Let's see, what else do we have in there? The medium green does as well. But for the most part, the reds stay true, purples stay true, the oranges stay true. So the vast majority of the palette does. But again, the importance of test tiles. Always
exactly.
Make sure it works specific to your work.
And so I put the carmine on the very edge, but it's really, really dark. It's going to be very dark. So if you wanted to tone that dark down, you could always go over it with another color. I could put the mandarin orange over that too, and then white back, and I would have the carmines popping through. So it would be a double layer coming through. And then, what if someone finds that their underglazes are a little grainy? What should they do if they're having problems with their underglazes?
So we see that sometimes with the brown most often.
A lot of people comment on the brown.
Yes.
Yeah.
So that's something we'd recommend. Water can help depending on how old it is. That's a color that doesn't age particularly well. Like some people, it just doesn't age very well. So we would recommend Darvan 7. That will get you working right away.
So if you have the brown and you're struggling with any of the colors that are a little grainy, Darvan 7, how much would you put in for a pint, would you suggest to start with to get that norm?
That's a little dab will do you. So
a little dab will do.
Depending on how much is left in there.
A couple drops.
Yeah. We just add it, mix it, and then just to desired effect, to desired viscosity.
So that's the big solution. That's the thing I hear the most. The only complaint people ever have is they sometimes have a few of them that are grainy, and that often happens with the brown. That's the only one I found it in is the brown myself personally. And I found I just mix for forever. And it does work. But now that I know, put some Darvan 7 in there.
Yeah. You're more tenacious than I am. I go Darvan 7.
So what did you say other people use? What did you say?
That's the one that we found is
the best is Darvan 7.
From everyone.
Okay.
Very user friendly. For affordable price point, works every time. So. Good.
So I have a choice here, and this is always it's always a difficult part when you make something. I put that mandarin orange over the rim, and it's covering the carmine, and it's like, how much do you wipe back? Like right now, it looks kind of cool with that rim like that, and so I can wipe it back and decide, I wish I didn't wipe it back, and then I can fix it, right? Because I can add it again. So that's the thing. I'm able to infinitely go back and forth. You might have to let your piece dry a little bit in between because it does absorb water. But, if you look, you can see, I'm just going to go close to the edge. I don't think I'll go all the way to the edge, but you can see that rim will be a more solid finish. And you can kind of see it right now on the camera. Let me get that better in for everybody. I don't know if Kelley, you probably can't see it very well where you are.
I can see the vast majority of it. I like
the vast majority.
What I can see. I like what's happening.
You like what's going on. Yeah. So, for me, what I love about the Speedball underglazes, I can just have the underglazes and no glaze. Now I do use glazes too, like clear and just clear glaze. I guess I should clarify that. You got to have a glaze, but I could just use a clear glaze and then the underglazes and never have a different color if I didn't want it, because the way I like to use them, like here, using them as a staining technique. painting on the surface or watercolor on or carving through. So I think I might leave. I think I might leave it. But wait, we do have to put a little more carmine, just a little bit. So
just for me, just to make me feel better.
A little more on the very edge. So did I just put mandarin orange over the carmine on the edge? I did. So what I did is I put carmine on first and I wiped it back, and I just didn't like the transition I was getting with it. And that happens, when we're making, you don't really know what things are going to look like until you do it. So I decided to apply mandarin orange on top of that. And now I'm going to go ahead, and if I can hold back from wiping too much, this is the problem, knowing when to quit, like when to stop. But I'm going to go in with the carmine, and I'm just going to do the very edge. And I like to thin mine down, like I was saying earlier, heavy cream consistency, sometimes milk consistency. If I'm doing a watercolor effect, I will go all the way down to basically like water with a bit of color, like dyed it. But we're not going to do that. We're not going to do that today, though. So we're going to put this carmine in, and I'm just going to do the very edge and just drag the brush across like that. So if you all have more questions for Kelley, well, we have her here. We do have the giveaway coming up in a few minutes. We're going to do that. Three somebodies are going to win 12 packs of the pints. So these great big pints of all the new colors. So you're going to get these new colors. And, you can buy your Speedball underglazes from local Speedball dealer. I know Clayscapes Pottery sells them. Clay King sells them. I don't know who else near me has them, but check local. Now, Kelley, on your website, you have a really great website. I just want to say you have a lot of information on your website. And if somebody wanted to find a distributor, you have listings there too, right? So people can go on and see and find whoever's near them.
Yep, you can search by product line. So they just have to select Speedball Ceramics, and they can search specific to their postal code to find a retailer in their area. And then it also populates all of their online retail options as well.
So I'm going to go back. I won't do it here, but I'm going to do the edges in the carmine. So they're not white. And then I may do the bottom all carmine. I might leave it blank. We'll see. But I am going to put a clear glaze on top of this once it is dried all the way. And then I will fire it, and you all will get to see what it looks like. So the texture again on this is just a placemat that I've used many times. I see a lot of people are asking about the texture. It's just a placemat. So and Darvan will fix any color. So I have people also ask about the Darvan if you're having problems with like the green being a little grainy. Right, Kelley?
There's no color specificity. It's just typically the brown that we hear about the most often. But yes, any of the colors, it just seems to be the brown is the biggest issue with that. For the most part, the other colors don't seem to lean that direction unless they're quite old. But for the most part, you
could use that Darvan 7 in any of them if they act up on you. So you've got that on hand. You can take care of that. And so again, talking about the color shift, it happens the most the higher you fire it. So I'm low fire. I've not seen really any shifting at all. Mid-range. I mean, these are my mid-range colors. This is cone 5. I see very little shift in the color at cone 5 for me. Looking at these colors, they really look good. So I think cone 8, 9, 10, when you get up there, that's when you start to see some shift. So do your test to find out. All right. So you said that carmine wiped back under cherry blossom celadon from Amico is gorgeous. So you could combine the two. And we didn't talk about that, but you can combine Amico celadons or any celadon, any transparent glaze with these underglazes. So that's the beautiful thing about it. So we're going to give away some stuff before we
Let's do it.
I know. So I will glaze this and I'll share it when it's all done. I'll fire it and I'll share it when it's finished with everybody, and I'll take some photos and I'll let Kelley know all about it if she wants to know.
See it, but I'm excited to give this away. So we are giving away, I'm going to pull some of the pints. Someone was asking about the purple. They do have a couple purples. They have amethyst, they have a purple and a royal purple. The amethyst and violet. Is that violet? Nope, purple. You have 4 purples. So there's amethyst, purple, royal purple, and wow, and the violet. So
original 24.
That's right.
I'm sorry, I got it covered up. I was like, couldn't find it. So the violet is more of a gray purple,
Mhm.
which I really love the violet. I don't think it gets enough love.
Yeah,
All right, all right, let me give away some pints of Underglaze here. We're giving away 3 of these, and you get the poster. Everybody wants the poster, and you can get your poster if you don't win from your local Speedball dealer. Check them out and see if they have it. So the first winner of the Speedball Underglaze prize pack is, I don't have a drum roll. Sometimes I do. Yeah, is Kathy Keys. Congratulations, Kathy Keys. So we will email Kathy, we'll email Kelley, we'll do what we have to do on our end so that everybody knows so that they can get their prize. And so people are asking about coats. One coat, yeah, I put on one thick coat. Like you saw me brush the coat on here. So with one coat, you get good coverage. When you do your test plates, do 3 coats, do a 1, a 2, and a 3. And that's what I did on these. Check out my Underglaze test plate class. I show you how to do it exactly. So it's easy and you get to see it in the variations from light to dark because it gets a little more opaque as you go. All right, the second winner of the Speedball Underglaze pints is Deanna Agnon. Deanna, congratulations. And I hope I pronounced your last name right. I'm so terrible at that, but you still won and we have your email, so it doesn't matter. I can. And then the last winner of the Speedball prize, although you all are winners because you're here watching today, and you can get Speedball from your local Speedball distributor. And if you go to Clayscapes Pottery, we do have the Explore 10 code, so you can save on Speedball Underglazes every day. Had to throw that in because, get to save a little bit. The third winner of the Speedball Underglaze pint prize pack, 12 pints for you, is Julie English. Congratulations, Julie English. You've won yourself a 12-pack of Speedball Underglazes. You're going to love them. They're so easy to work with, so fun. This is just one way to use them. I have so many ways to show you how to use Speedball Underglazes. They're kind of the most versatile thing out there. They really are. All right, everybody. Thank you for joining me. Thank you, Kelley.
Thank you so much. Happy birthday.
Thank you. We'll be back in a few minutes with Sam Bow. We're going to do some Underglaze decals and have a Q&A with